Well, a very festive season too. And at this point of time, 2020 is actually a marked change in our lives. And that is where life skill education is very important. Now, what is this life skill education? And where does it hold good in our life? Often we see things moving in a direction which we are not expecting. And at that point of time, we start having perspectives which may or may not be conducive for us to lead our life and be more productive. That is the point exactly when life skill education plays an important role. Now, life skill education is something wherein we find our emotions in play, we find our mental awareness in play, we also find our environment in play. So at this point of time, I would request all of you, since we are a few of us, you can unmute and you can share what are those emotions which you feel hinders your progress in life. Now, when I say emotions, simple as anger, frustration, sadness. Now, these are the most common ones. Okay, these are the pillars on which various other emotions are formed. So, which is that emotion which you feel hinders you in your everyday life?
Ma'am, my name is Shraddha
Hello.
Pillai. At times maybe anxiety because I do have anxieties. Kaise hoga, kya hoga, and sometimes you tend to think which is negative. You want it to be positive, but due to anxiety, you end up thinking something which is negative. So for me, anxiety, yes.
Yes, very rightly put. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I would request of you to be interactive as well. The reason being a very small group, it is about us. So there would be more personalized interaction with regards to each emotions. So yes, Utkarsh has allowed you to unmute yourself. So you can unmute and you can share. I hope you are here because neither can I hear you nor can I see you. Okay, well, we take anger and anxiety. Anger. Anger is a forceful energy which is not channeled in a productive way. Yes. Now, when we say it is a channeled, it is an energy. Now, what is anger? Anger is an outburst of energy. This energy is also having a choice with itself in the sense that it can be used productively or it can get destructive. When we get angry, it becomes destructive. That means we destroy that particular energy. We radiate it to the whole environment around us. Now, when we are angry, one very important thing happens within our physiology. We start having a shaky voice. The cellular patterns in our cells starts vibrating at a higher frequency, more violent frequency. Our thought forms rushes towards maybe to the past, which triggers an emotion, which triggers the anger further. You may get those memories of the past which you normally wouldn't have even thought of. So it builds up, it adds fuel to this particular emotion called anger. Anger is a fiery emotion. That means it leaves things distracted, disrupted once it is over. It is like a tsunami. So when we talk about anger, there can be violent interruptions in your thought process, which makes you go back to the past, remember a episode which was not very happy, bring it and fuel your anger. So anger as an emotion, again, I said there are choices. We are human beings with our emotions, but with that emotions, we also have a tool called as a choice. So emotion of anger comes due to reactions. We will be talking about reactions. And if that reaction is replaced with a response, then anger will not be fueled and there wouldn't be a distraction. Coming to frustration. Frustration is an inability to see what is happening in and around you and which is not conducive to your own mindset. That created another disruption which self-sabotages a person. That is, a person who is frustrated will tend to frustrate himself further to such an extent that you start radiating it to your environment in a very subtle way. A frustrated person will have a different energy as compared to an angry person. Frustration can lead to anger. Frustration can lead to depression. That is extreme communication or no communication. So this is the concept with regards to frustration. Anxiety. A person who gets anxious is living more in the future than in the present. And because the future is uncontrollable, you feel the present is also uncontrollable and create an environment where everything becomes uncontrollable. So today, when we see anger, frustration, anxiety, these three concepts are continuously churning within us. These three aspects of life are one which disables our life. Now, these are not just three. In permutations and combinations, there are thousands of emotions which can keep coming up. A person can get angry and frustrated at the same time. A person can be angry because he's anxious and because of that can get frustrated. So there are various permutations and combinations. As teachers, because this particular talk is with regards to teachers. Teachers play a very important role. You are leading your class. You are leading yourself to becoming a role model when you are in front of the class. So this role model is not something like you jump into when you're in the class. Again, you jump out when you are not in the class. It is something which you have to live. You have to walk the talk. And that particular integrity is very, very important because we cannot live double-faced. At profession, I'm going to be a very responsive person, not a reactive person. Back home, I'm very reactive. Now, this leads to two personalities. All of you would agree with me because when a person is leading a two personalities, there is no truth in any of them. It becomes a persona, a mask. But when a person is in the true self, no need of a mask. And when there is no need of a mask, stress gets reduced. You will not be angry because you know what it is the way it is. There is no point of getting angry because you will also know your circle of influence. Circle of influence means what are the things in your control and what are the things beyond your control. So always work with things in your control. When I say in your control means, first thing, getting angry is in your control. You can choose to be responsive, not get angry. Being in your control would be your own time management. Being in your control would be your own lifestyle. Being in your control would mean that you are being within yourself at peace. Because we cannot ask for these things from people outside. When sometimes things are not in control, that means it is beyond your control. Your boss getting angry at you because he had a fight at home with his spouse, not in your control. And if he radiates that anger onto you, I'm just giving an example, and if that person radiates that anger onto you, that is in your control. If you choose to be responsive, if you are able to see that this is not to do with me, this is coming from somewhere else and it is being dumped onto me. So why should I take in this garbage? Let it slip out. Let it not enter me. Let it just be out. That means you create your own vibrations in such a way, even if that whole thing comes on you, just slips out, doesn't go into you. That means it doesn't trigger you. We as humans have number of trigger points. So if you choose to be responsive, it is not going to affect you. On the other hand, that anger comes to you and you are already frustrated, already angry. What is going to happen? The whole thing is going to become a big chaos. A big chaos in the sense that mental, physical, and emotional chaos. Like I said, the cellular vibration also changes and it could also lead to lot of other physical issues if not handled well. Because it has been found scientifically that 94% of all the diseases we see today are psychosomatic, are because emotions have not been handled properly. And that is exactly the reason by world over we see people doing research on this. If you go back 40, 50 years, how many people were there who were working towards life skill education? How many people were doing research in life skill? It was considered to be a normal subject, which we are born with, so no need of studying it. But now, with all these, on one side is the diseases, and on the other side is the inability of humans to live as humans. That is, inability to find peace and happiness has led to further research in this area. Coming to this concept of things not in our control, we need to understand whatever happens around us should be handled well within us. That is, we should be able to handle those aspects which are happening around us within us in such a way that it doesn't create any sort of a physical, mental, or emotional issue. Now, let me come to a story here. There was once a boss, the owner of a large corporation, generally a very, very gentle person who would take care of all the people who were working with him and of all the employees, even at the shop floor. Once in the morning, as he was about to leave for office, something happened and there was a tussle between the husband and the wife. At this point of time, his anger flared up. Generally not very angry, but this day his anger flared up. And he went to office. So the first person to meet was his driver. The driver greets him and he greets him back very rudely because that is what he has emotionally within him. So what we have within us is what we radiate. The driver feels surprised. He doesn't know what is happening, but anyway, it's his job. So he takes his boss to the office. There the gate person, the security greets him, again the same anger thrashed out. Now this person is again disturbed. What happened to him? Generally a very, very soft-spoken person. At the office, he reaches his cabin and the supervisor comes in. The supervisor greets him and is about to share something with regards to their work. And just at that point of time, he flares up and all that pent up anger or frustration, which was within him, is thrown out to this particular supervisor. Now the supervisor is totally lost because he had not heard such words from him and he had not seen such a behavior from him. And this particular supervisor was actually not very emotionally intelligent or couldn't manage the emotion. In his fist of anger, goes and starts blasting all the people who work under him. Under this whole pyramid of their work area, there is one particular worker who works on the shop floor, who is a very sensitive person. He takes it to heart and he goes home. He goes home late because he's so disturbed. His wife opens the door and asks him what happened. He just slaps his wife. The wife is shocked and she starts weeping. They have a little child, a 4-year-old child who's playing with the toys. The child is also surprised and shocked and goes and runs to the mother and asks, what happened? Why are you crying? The mother now picks up all her emotions, which are now like broken pieces of her heart. She picks them up and a tight slap on her son's face. Now this child starts weeping. And what is the next step? Goes to his toys, picks one of them and throws it on the ground. Broken. So life can get broken if we don't handle our emotions. So I hope all of you are on the same page with understanding why emotions needs to be handled, why life skill education is so important. Each and every human being goes through the same grind all over the world. It is not that in India anger is different or in the US the anger is different. The world over the anger is the same. But how we handle makes us what we are. Anger is an energy. And energy, it is just like a fire which can be used for cooking or for burning a house. If you choose anger and allow it to be flaming up further, then it is going to burn a house. If you allow the anger to be tamed well, that is, you be responsive to your emotion, responsive to your environment, responsive to the things which are not in your control, then you will have that fire which would help you cook a wonderful meal. As simple as that. So life skill education, what does it include? It includes all our emotions, includes all our ways of thinking, that is perspectives. It includes our well-being with regards to deeper understanding of ourselves and connect to the environment. So life skill education, if I have to say, it could be like a whole encyclopedia, because it's all about human beings, the way we communicate, what we communicate, where we communicate, how we communicate, with whom we communicate. We communicate to the world very nicely when we see somebody because the world is looking. What about communicating to self? Nobody is looking. So often we sabotage ourselves. If something goes wrong, I'm good for nothing. Why me? Something is wrong with my luck. XYZ statements start coming up. So this is our intrapersonal communication which we have. Now this intrapersonal communication is the true communication we have with ourselves. Interpersonal, we take the other person into consideration and we speak based on that. If that is the case, why don't we be more conscious about how we communicate to ourselves? Then we will be able to handle anger, anxiety, frustration, deceit, resentment, all the thousands of emotions in various combinations in a very easy and a comfortable way. So now I would like to ask you, are you all understanding what I'm speaking right now and how it holds good in your life? You can put a thumbs up. I would prefer you to come on video because it's like talking to the walls, the empty walls. So I would really request all of you, if you could come on video or at least unmute and start speaking something, it would be more comfortable. Well, moving ahead, you make a choice to be mute. Well, thank you. Talking about emotional intelligence, there is something called as 5 parameters. Now, what are these 5 parameters? You can note it down if you have a pen or paper, or you can just listen. The 5 parameters are, firstly, very important is self-management. I have spoken about how we handle our emotions, how we should be able to be in that zone to interact with ourselves with empathy, with compassion, and with love. These 3 things are very important. The second aspect is awareness, how aware you are about your thoughts. If you are angry, if you're immediately aware, oh, it's wrong, I shouldn't be angry. There's no need to be angry. Why should I punish myself for somebody else's fault? If you are being aware about this, you will not be angry and you will not be in the state of disruption. The third aspect is regulation. How do you regulate your thoughts? Any thought which comes up, don't take it prima facie. You can be focused on that thought. Okay, why did this thought come to me? Does it serve me any good? Is it empowering me? If it is empowering me, I go with this thought. If it doesn't empower me, perfect, let it pass by. Because in a day, we get 60,000 thoughts. And out of the 60,000 thoughts, hardly there are around 20% of the thoughts which I can say which are moderate. And out of the 20%, only 1%, which is really a positive thought. So with such terrible percentage, it is very important that we stick on to being in a zone of self-regulation with self-awareness and being able to be in a zone of empowering ourselves. The fourth concept is motivation. Always stay motivated. When I say motivation, it's not about jumping around and say, oh, I'm motivated, I want to show the world's motivated. No, this is within yourself. Anything goes downsized, no problem. Life is all about phases of ups and downs. And that is what life is made of. If we were only happy all the time, we wouldn't have to value happiness at all. It's only because there is sadness somewhere, then we understand happiness is an emotion which we enjoy. So it's perfect. But all the way, stay self-motivated. Do not look for motivation outside. Look at yourself. If I'm doing something, where is it serving me? Is it taking me to my goals? If yes, I should be doing it, come what may. That should be the attitude, and that will help you move ahead. And last but not the least, be in empathy. When we say empathy is compassion to others and compassion to oneself. A person who is empathetic will understand that the environment which brings in certain things which are not very happy to us is coming from a zone of discomfort from their side. We need not bring it into our lives and create a distorted personality within us. It is perfect for others to be the way they are. They have a reason to be the way they are, and we have a reason to be the way we are. So when we are coming from a space of empathy, we understand every human being is different, and we are here not to judge anybody and not to take over others' emotions onto ourselves. If a person comes with anger and starts blasting you, you have a choice to just remain quiet. Okay, fine, you finish it off. It's okay. But at the same time, what you say, the words you say, nothing in me should be triggered. I don't allow anything within me to be triggered, because no sooner you get triggered, you become a part of their story. You become a part of their emotion. That means they start ruling your life. Choose to rule your own life. Choose to be in control of your own life. Things beyond your control, let it be. If you are calm, you will be able to see the solutions. If you're calm, you will be able to see from which zone that is coming. And you will also be able to take a right decision only when you are calm. So on that note, these are the 5 important parameters of understanding your own beingness with regards to being emotionally intelligent, being mentally well, and also radiate the same to your environment. As teachers, these 5 important pointers are very important, because if a teacher is not handling herself or himself in a proper zone, it is definitely going to affect your work. It's going to definitely radiate to the children, which is not teaching is about, right? Teaching is about being a role model. So these 5 important pointers, practice it on a regular basis. I will quickly run through the 5 pointers. The first pointer is self-management. Second is awareness. And third is regulation. Then there is motivation. And lastly, not the least, is empathy. If you're able to follow these 5 things, I guess you are very much emotionally balanced, emotionally intelligent, adaptably intelligent, and you are on the step of a beautiful zone wherein life skill education begins. An angry teacher will only activate anger and trigger anger in children, trigger anger in their own colleagues, with their colleagues, trigger anger in their whole work environment. So emotions by themselves spread like wildfire. It doesn't need time. Thank you so much, Mr. Mukesh. So coming to the next point, very important. How are we able to create an identity which is conducive of this particular aspect of emotionally intelligent, adaptable, and able to see that you radiate peace, happiness, and a learning environment for all? Children learn the best when they are emotionally well handled. This is a very, I would say it's a basic thing, but much researched upon now. Now, when we look at the way the children interact in a happy class and the way children interact in a class which is not being handled in a way which is conducive for learning. Now, this was part of my research as well. We found that children enjoyed the class of music, art, and somewhere down the line, the classes, now I'm talking this of students 5th to 7th, and the children who were attending the math class, which was handled by a teacher who was more structured with regards to the teaching, completing the portion. One side, other side, the teacher who used creative methods of mathematics. We found a huge disparity. In the class which was more about completing the syllabus, sticking to the syllabus, there the children who were already interested in math did very well. But 80% of the children who were not having much, who were not very interested in math, they dropped down from being 50% to getting 30% or just pass marks. So this is the statistics which shows that creativity in education is very important. And in 2015, I founded the Creativity in Education, the whole syllabus with life skill education. And it was well accepted by the P Ward in Mumbai, wherein we had around 300 schools which took this up. Creativity in education takes into consideration all the parameters of emotions and also looks at how it can be incorporated into learning. So we had various forms of teaching mathematics, the same mathematics, how it could be taught with the use of Lego, how it could be taught with the concepts of architecture. And with this, you won't believe it, the results which we got was amazing. Students who were not very good with those mathematic concepts or is not good with the physics concepts, they did very nicely just because we introduced creativity in education. So I guess now it's a time that each and every school looks at introducing creativity in education, because when we are doing things such as building up something to understand the concepts, there's a lot of teamwork. Games and sports, yes, they play a role, but again, how are they played? Are they on field? Are they in class? Is there something called as a psychogeometrics there? Are we using the NLP there? Are we using their creative with regards to giving them the freedom to do things and finally come to an outcome which is the main objective? So yes, sports and all these can be put in, but majorly when I talk about creativity in education, it takes into all the art forms, it takes in all the aspects with regards to construction, because physics and mathematics were taught to be very good. We used color forms, we used geometric forms, and sports comes in when we look at the physical fitness along with creativity in education. So yes, it's a wonderful thing to bring this together. Now, when we are talking about emotional intelligence, you look at the behavior of children. When they are happy, how they behave. And when they are not happy, what happens to their own whole personality. Now, a child who is happy will have a learning capability, a grasping and an absorption capability, which will go directly to his hypothalamus. That is, it will go to its main storage. The child will remember forever. Let me give you an example. How many of us remember the teacher whom we disliked the most during our school days? The teacher whom we disliked the most, whom we felt should never have been in our life. You know, it happens. And how many of you would remember the teacher whom you liked the most? Now the experiences given, thank you so much, Utkarsh and Shraddha. The teacher who gives us experiences which are creating an emotion, a strong emotion, is remembered forever. Both type, yes, both the type, the best, the teacher who made us the happiest and the teacher who made our lives the deadliest. So both of these. Now why? Because strong emotions are connected. These teachers have created a strong emotion in us. And somewhere down the line, we start liking or hating the subject based on the emotion the teacher created. So this is a great food for thought. Do you want to be a teacher? Or do you want to be that person which the child, even after 30, 40 years, remembers and says, I really remember that teacher, and I really thank her or him for that beautiful experience they gave us? Or it would be, oh my God, I wish I did not have that teacher, because else, had it been the other teacher who created a good experience, my teacher of that subject, I would have excelled. So, you know, we are framing such perspectives in the mind of the child that in future, they are going to be affected. Their whole life is going to be impacted by that particular thought and emotion which is created. So life skill education is one of the most important concept which every teacher should learn. And I guess my trusted tutor is doing a good job because they're trying to pick up the people who are experts in these fields and bring it out to all the teachers, all the participants, so they are able to lead their students in a way which is towards nation building and also lead their life in a way which is happy and peaceful. Well, how does a person practice these 5 concepts on an everyday basis? To practice this, there is a huge lot of things which a person has to do. But to make it easy and quick, I can say every teacher is actually doing much more than just being a teacher. So there's hardly any time a teacher gets. The children are on vacation, you're busy correcting your papers. During the vacation, you're busy setting up the syllabus, your yearly plans. There's so many things that teachers keep doing. But the teachers also need to understand one thing, that you need to make time off for yourself and lead your life not being as a teacher, but as a learner. Because a teacher who is a constant, a regular learner makes a best teacher. Learn something new. When I say something new, it could be a new meditation style. It could be something new like your hobby. Maybe you would like singing, or you would like playing music, or you would like dancing, you would like painting, anything. Or you would like playing badminton or your tennis or golf, or whatever you like. Just choose that once a week you are following what you like doing. Because when a person starts using their innate gifts, and which comes out with ease, and they enjoy that, they are able to create their own influence, the circle of influence, in a stronger way. That is, you rewire your brain to look at life in a way which is more positive. And secondly, it will keep you self-motivated. So I guess all of you can do that. Find your passion, and at least once a week, make time and learn something new. Do something which you always love doing. Do not wait for your retirement, because we never know what's tomorrow. Live in the now. To release anxiety, practice mindfulness. And if you want to release your frustration, allow others to do their work and do not allow them to trigger their emotions onto you. Anger, it is an outburst of energy. Channelize it well without affecting your own personality. Since these were the 3 emotions which came up, I'm speaking about them. So I guess it's time to say a quick bye. So if you want to connect to me, you can look into my website, which is my name, sujatasinghi.com. You can follow me on Instagram, DSS by Dr. Sujata Singhi. And you can read the blogs, which you will be able to see on my website, which will help you have insight about these concepts of life skill education and about understanding the importance in our lives. You can watch the YouTube for many more videos of my talks and the testimonials. On that note, time to say bye.